Hey everyone, welcome back to the Life and Language podcast channel. I'm Ben. I've been spending way too much time in my kitchen lately, which honestly is either a great thing or a terrible thing depending on how you look at it. But speaking of kitchens, have you ever stopped to wonder how the microwave ended up on your counter? Like, who actually invented it, and why? Because the story is genuinely one of my favorite accidental discoveries in all of science, and today we're going to dig into it. Learn some great vocabulary along the way. And I think by the end you'll see something really surprising about how human curiosity actually works. But first, a question, and I want you to actually think about this before I give you the answer later. Here it is. The microwave oven was accidentally invented during research into what? Was it a radar technology developed during World War II, B. early experiments with electric ovens in the 1920s, or C. radio communication systems for submarines? So, is it a B or C? I'm going to guess a radar technology, but I'll be honest, I could easily be wrong. Hold your answer in your head, and we'll come back to it. Okay, so let me take you back to 1945. A scientist named Percy Spencer was working at a company called Raytheon in the United States. He was an engineer, and his job at the time was to work with something called a magnetron, which is a device that produces a type of electromagnetic radiation, basically invisible waves of energy that travel through the air. These magnetrons were being used in radar systems, which helped military forces detect enemy aircraft during the war. Spencer was not thinking about food at all. He was thinking about radar signals, about technology, about the war effort, and then something remarkable happened. He was standing near an active magnetron during a test, and he noticed that a chocolate bar in his shirt pocket had started to melt. Now, lots of people might have just been annoyed about the ruined chocolate. And honestly, fair enough, that is a tragedy. But Spencer was curious. He didn't dismiss the observation. And that word, dismiss, is really important here. To dismiss something means to decide it's not worth your attention and move on. Spencer didn't dismiss what had happened. He leaned in. He started asking questions. Why did the chocolate melt? What was the magnetron actually doing to it? He ran more experiments. He tried popcorn kernels near the magnetron, and they popped. He tried an egg, which apparently exploded, which sounds both terrifying and kind of funny. And through this process of experimentation meaning the act of trying things out to see what happens and learn from the results, Spencer figured out that the microwave radiation from the magnetron was causing water molecules inside the food to vibrate rapidly, and that vibration produced heat. Within a few years, Raytheon had filed a patent, which is an official legal document that gives an inventor the exclusive right to profit from their invention, for what they called a radar range. The first commercial microwave oven was enormous, about the size of a refrigerator, and cost thousands of dollars. It took decades before a compact, affordable version arrived in people's homes. I asked a few people what they think when they hear a story like this, and here's what they told me. The first person said, "Honestly, it makes me feel better about my own mistakes. Like, some of the best things in the world happened because someone messed up or got distracted. That's kind of comforting." The second person said, "What strikes me is that it wasn't just luck. He could have ignored it. The curiosity is what made the difference. Anyone standing there might have seen the same thing and done nothing." And the third person said, "I never really thought about where everyday objects come from. This makes me look at my kitchen differently. There's a whole story behind everything." I love that last one because it gets at something really deep, and it leads us into the more interesting question underneath all of this. What does this story actually tell us about curiosity as a human quality? Psychologists who study motivation talk about something they call intrinsic curiosity, which means curiosity that comes from inside you, driven by genuine interest rather than any external reward. Spencer wasn't going to get a bonus for figuring out why his chocolate melted. Nobody asked him to investigate. He did it because he genuinely wanted to know. And research consistently shows that this kind of internally, you tend to find discovery not far behind. There's also an important concept here around what researchers call a prepared mind. This idea, often linked to the scientist Louis Pasteur, suggests that luck alone isn't enough. You have to already be the kind of person who notices and questions things in order to benefit from a lucky moment. Spencer's prepared mind meant he had the knowledge to understand what he was seeing and the habit of asking why. Someone without that background might have seen the melted chocolate and just felt disappointed. Spencer saw a phenomenon, and a phenomenon is an observable event or fact that is interesting or unusual enough to require explanation. And he treated it as an invitation. And finally, what I find most moving about this story is what it says about the value of so-called useless knowledge. Spencer's deep understanding of radar waves was not supposed to be useful for cooking. It was developed for military purposes entirely. But knowledge very rarely stays in the box we put it in. When you learn something, even something that seems completely irrelevant to your daily life, you are expanding the range of connections your mind can make. That expansion is where creativity lives. Before we wrap up, let's quickly go through today's words so they really stick with you. Dismiss. When you dismiss something, you decide it's not worth your attention and move on. You might say, she almost dismissed the idea as silly, but then she reconsidered. Experimentation. Trying things out in a deliberate way to learn from the results. The chef's willingness to embrace experimentation is what made his cooking so original. Patent. A legal document giving an inventor the exclusive right to profit from their invention. The company filed a patent to protect their new design. Intrinsic curiosity. Curiosity that comes from inside you, not from any external reward. His intrinsic curiosity about people made him a wonderful interviewer. Predictor. Something that helps you anticipate what is likely to happen. Early reading habits can be a strong predictor of academic success. And phenomenon. An observable event or fact unusual enough to deserve explanation. The way the crowd fell completely silent was a remarkable phenomenon. Alright, time to go back to our quiz question. I asked you, the microwave was accidentally invented during research into what? And the options were A. Radar technology from World War II, B. Early electric oven experiments, or C. Submarine radio systems. The answer is A. Radar technology. And look, I said I'd guess A, so I'm going to give myself half a point, but I'll be honest. I didn't know the specific story about the magnetron before I dug into this topic. So it feels less like a win and more like a lucky guess. The big takeaway today is this: curiosity isn't just a nice personality trait. It's a skill, and like any skill, you can practice it. The next time something small and unexpected happens in your day, try not to dismiss it. Ask why. You never know where the question might lead you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Comment practice and I'll reply with today's phrase. Take care of yourselves, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next one.